Amistad and HarperAudio present The Road to the Salt Sea, a novel by Samuel Kolawole, performed by Atta, Otigba. For Jadiel. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. Warsanshire. Home. 1. After fixing the tire, Abel-God drove carefully through outlying streets in search of a guest house. The darkness did little to ease his anxiety. It would be harder to find him in the dark when faces were barely noticeable. He turned down a road lined by buildings. He located one tucked within a maze of tenement apartments. The walls were stained brown, there was not a signpost in sight, and a long passageway led to the entrance. It was perfect. The hotel attendant, a man with bushy eyebrows and a stubbled chin, stood behind the reception desk. There was a telephone on the counter, and a huge black and white television hung in a corner, encased in a cobwebbed iron frame. "You are welcome to Mount Pleasant Guest House. How may I help you?" the fellow asked. "I want lodge for room." "Single or double bed, sir?" "Just give me something," Abel-God responded impatiently. He wiped the sweat from his exposed palm on his trousers. The receptionist threw a suspicious look at him. Abel-God slipped some notes on the counter. "Once again, you are welcome to Mount Pleasant Guest House," the man said with a smile, as he unhooked a key from the rows of keys on the wall. The receptionist led Abel-God upstairs to a corridor with 6 facing doors and wiggled the key into one of the door locks, pushing and pulling at the door before it finally creaked open. A rancid smell issued forth. The receptionist handed Abel-God the key and went back downstairs. In the room, Abel-God paced manically, shaking his head in panic. He parted the curtain and gazed outside. Nothing but a wall. He went to the bathroom to inspect the gash across his palm. He wet a wad of tissue paper under the faucet and, flinching, wiped the blood off the wound. Back in the room, he sat down on the edge of one of the hard twin beds. A folded, worn-out towel and a chip of soap were arranged at the foot of the bed. The asbestos ceiling was bloated with water and streaked black. The walls were collaged with chipped enamel. The air conditioning system made a humming sound, punctuated by a violent mechanical crunch, like a pepper grinder. He pulled out his phone and dialed the number Akudo had given him. 5 times he called. No response. He called Ben 10. No answer. A curious thought flashed through his mind. Maybe calling Akudo from an unrecognizable number would work. He scribbled her number with the guest house pen on the pad on the bedside table, tore the page from the pad, and rushed downstairs. The receptionist was dozing, his head on the desk. "Excuse, sir," Abel-God said. The receptionist sprang up, wiping a streak of white saliva from the corner of his lips. "Yes, can I help you?" He peered at Abel-God with tired eyes. "I want to call this number. Can you help me?" The receptionist shot Abel-God a look that said, "Boy, you better grease my palms or deal with the police." The man assessed him, his gaze falling on the wound in Abel-God's hand and the bloodstains on the side of his trousers. At that moment, Abel-God realized that the receptionist had to be aware that he was in trouble. He had no choice but to pay him some money at this point. Abel-God dipped his hand into his pocket. "Oga, we no want trouble for this hotel, oh," the receptionist said, smiling ever so slightly. "No, my brother. I just want to phone somebody." The receptionist took a quick glance at the money and bundled it off behind the desk. Abel-God reached out for the handset and punched the dial. She still did not answer. Shit. He returned the phone to the cradle and went back upstairs.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?